So what we're going to do here is just go through and show a little bit of research of how you research something on eBay and what you can get from that data. Okay, what information we can gather. So there are multiple reasons to do research on eBay, but the primary thing we're looking at today is research that you will do to decide how likely it is you can sell a product and how quickly you can expect to sell it. And I would say don't necessarily use this to decide whether you're going to list an item, but more just to set your expectations of how quickly the item might sell. So if we have a wood lathe that we want to sell, for example, we can do a search for the words wood lathe, and of course we could put more keywords in there that are more specifically relevant to ours, but this will get us a pretty good start. So the first thing we're going to look at is how many active items are there. And here we can see that there are 5,643 items active that relate to wood lathe. And as you go down, you can see that some of them are tools. They're not the actual lathe itself. And so one thing I'm going to look at is there a way for us to narrow this down to something more specific? If we had the tools, a chisel set or tools, that would be an easy one. We just add that word in there. For the machine itself, we might put the word machine in there. But I'm noticing that not everybody is doing that. This one did, that one didn't. This one did. So, see, this one doesn't. So there... and this, I guess, this isn't the actual lathe itself either. Benchtop lathe. So we could narrow it down if we wanted to do, as narrow as benchtop lathe, for example. Then we might do that kind of those keywords. However, for research sake, let's just take this. So anything related to wood lathe, we've got 5,643 results. Now let's come down here to on the left-hand side, we've got all these options to narrow our research. What we want to look under is the Show Only section and go to Sold Listings. So we're going to click that. So out of 5,600 results, we have 3,600 that have sold. So that's better than 50% sell-through rate. So that's pretty good. That indicates this is a category of product that will sell pretty good. Now this number right here, this is the number of sales in this related to these keywords within the last 3 months. So that's 3 months worth of data. Okay. Now again, if we scroll down and look at this, we can see most of this is parts or tools, not the actual wood lathe themselves. So if we had the lathe, we would need to narrow this down a little more. So this, if we have a set of chisels, then this is going to give us some good insight on what to do. And again, let's go back and let's do 2 more searches. So let's do... let's look at this one. Benchtop. I want to do that. I want to do benchtop wood lathe. So benchtop wood lathe. Run that search. Only 59 products that come up active for that. So significantly lower amount. Let's look at the sold listings in the last 3 months. 41. Huge sell-through rate. So if this is a product that we have access to, we can expect that if we put this up, we ought to be able to sell, at least one of these, I would say within a month, maybe less. So that's a good product for us to sell if we can, list some of those. The sell-through on that is very high sell-through rate. Okay. So that's how we do the initial research. Now again, if we come back here and change this from benchtop wood lathe to wood lathe tools, we've got 1,364 related to that. And again, we're seeing a combination of things, but a lot of them are this chisel set. Let's change it. Let's say chisel set. All right, 491 wood lathe chisel sets. So if we have that product available, for example, now we can go down and look at sold, 309. So again, very high sell-through rate. Okay, so as far as whether or not that item will sell, yes, it is very likely that this item will sell. Now, the next thing we're going to look at with this kind of research is what are they selling for? And of course, with an item like this, we're going to have all kinds of different quality, right? This one here that sold for $377 is probably the low end, cheap, really poor steel type quality set, where these that are selling for $40 and $35, $36 plus shipping, notice that, these sets are probably a lot higher quality steel on those chisels, right? And so, and yeah, you can see the Hong Kong is where this one's coming from. And that's another thing you can do is we can look at U.S. only with this research, which I often do because I'm really only competing with people here in the U.S. because people will pay more just because you're a U.S. seller and they know they'll get it faster. Quality will certainly play a part here. We want to have products that have a high enough quality that we can sell them. However, if we could buy one of these cheap sets for $2 and sell it for $5 or $10, you know, we can make a little bit on something like that still, but it's only a few bucks. You know, if we want to be dealing with transactions that give us higher returns, then we want to deal with higher quality things that we can get at a good enough discount. But even if we don't get it as at a big discount, let's look at the, let's go back to this bench top. So an item like this, even if we, you know, if our cost on this is $200, but we can sell it for $271, now we're going to have, you know, $25, $30 in fees there. But if we don't have a shipping cost on that, well, we're still profiting $40. Okay, so that's better than 10%, not quite 20% profit perhaps, but you know, a 15 to 20% profit on a $270 item is going to be a lot higher profit than 20% profit on a $10 item, which is $2, right? So that's something else to take into account. I myself, I do a lot of low-priced items on my eBay. We can go and search for a user here. If we search by seller, we can look up Woodlot 4, which is my primary eBay account right now. Whoops, why did that not? By seller, Woodlot 4. It should pull it. There we go. There are my listings. And so if we look at, and then we come down where we're looking just at my listing, there's my pretty mug there with one of my items. We'll click on sold listings. And I just sold those the other day, actually. See, I just sold one of those. So I've got a lot of low-priced items. You know, this one, $27, I don't mind that because that's going to cost me, you know, $2 or $3 to ship. I've got a great profit margin. This one here, $9. I just increased this recently because I'm tired of selling things for really low prices where I'm only making $2 or $3, and every one of those transactions is in my books, and I have to, you know, go through and do my books at each end of each month and you know, make note of every single transaction, every single shipping. So I've gotten out of the habit of shipping lower priced items. I used to have a lot of things I would sell for $5, $6, and as you can see here, I've increased the price on most of those. I really don't have many of those. In fact, this one right here, I've sold a lot of those for $5, $6. I put it up to $9.75. They still sell just as often. So there's no sense in me selling something for $5 or $6 when I can sell it for 10 or more, you know, and make a few more dollars. And I prefer things where I'm selling it like this, you know, for 20, 30 or more. Even if we get down, like the sagebrush stuff, where I can sell that for 25, 40 bucks, I don't mind that, because then it's not as big a deal. I'm making, a good 30 bucks profit, 20 bucks profit out of those. I don't mind doing books on that kind of stuff. So I generally look for stuff that's selling higher. These kinds of things I will sell lower, because I bought those at the surplus auction, and they weren't selling real well as a kit, and so I broke them up and noticed that people were buying them individually. I'll actually, over the long haul, make more selling individual items or doubles on those. I had a few more, I think, that sold recently. Anyway, I'll do those and break those up, because I'll actually end up selling more that way, making more out of my money and selling them faster than if I left it as a whole kit. So a few things to think about when you're doing your research, but don't get real heavy in doing research and not do any listings. You need to do, if we're going to build the business, you got to list something. So, a little bit of research to get an idea of whether the item you're looking at will make you the money that you want to make, how quickly you think it will sell, and that that research really is just what I just showed you here. If we go back to the previous pages, back quite a bit here, see right here, so 41 sold within the last 3 months out of, well, it was like 50 or so. We'll go back this way. Out of how many that are active, out of 59 active, right? So if you've got a high sell-through rate, if you are 30% or greater on the sell-through rate, and the more, the closer you get to the active listing number, the better, then that's a good product to pick up, and you can feel fairly confident that you're going to be able to sell it. If we're below 20% sell-through rate, then yeah, you could probably sell it, especially if there's a lot of them selling, but that means either that you've got a lot more competition, if there's thousands and thousands of those items there, or maybe they're seasonal or just not sought after that often. They're not as popular. So those might sit in your inventory a little longer if you were holding inventory, or with a virtual inventory on eBay, they may sit there on eBay for a while longer before they sell. Okay? So hopefully that gives you some good insight on it. So just one last note that I tell most of my clients is don't be too concerned about the price, because you're going to see prices all over the board. If we go down and look through this, here we can see this exact same item. One of them sold for $238, one of them sold for $249. This one has free shipping. This one has $22 shipping. So this one here, it sold for $30 more than this one, but they both sold within a couple of days of each other. So don't be too concerned about price, and don't think that you can't sell it if somebody's selling it cheaper. Here's another example, exact same item, $235, $229. So you will see prices all over the board, and so don't be afraid to list it, even if you have to list it higher. Here's another great example, $243, and yet somebody sold it up here for $271. So, there is room for profit if you're selling it higher. Main thing to look at is use different keywords in your title. Change it up a little bit, put different keywords at the beginning as compared to those you see who are selling the exact same item for lower. If you have more keywords, different keywords, then different people are going to find your listings as opposed to those who will find this other listing. And that's how you can compete even if you're at a higher price. I tell you, I've done that over and over and over with my items, and sell them consistently at a higher price. I've even increased prices on items that I have, like I just showed you, that I've sold for $5, $10, and I'll increase it to 15 or 20 and still sell the item. It's really not about price. It's more important that you get that you look at the keywords and get different keywords in there, and then just list a lot of items. The more you list, it's a numbers game. The more you're going to sell. So there you go.